The book is really about the dealings that the Hollywood studios did with the Nazis all through the 1930s. I spent about 10 years going through archives in Germany and the United States, and I uncovered documents that describe in great detail business dealings and all sorts of other dealings between studio executives and Nazi officials. The reason I am using the word collaboration is because it's the word that both the studio heads and the Nazis used all through the 1930s to describe their relationship with each other. You have the head of MGM in Germany saying that we believe in a friendly collaboration on both sides, and then continuing to say things about how much we admire the efforts that Hitler has taken recently in Germany to solve the unemployment problem. Nearly 10 years ago, I watched an interview with Bud Schulberg, the screenwriter, and he said that in the 1930s, Louis B. Mayer, the head of MGM, used to meet with the German consul in Los Angeles, who was a member of the Nazi Party, and that Louis B. Mayer would screen his movies to the Nazi consul and ask him what he should take out of his movies. These are some of the scripts that were unproduced. I was surprised at first that Louis B. Mayer met with a Nazi, but at the same time, it also seemed to be a plausible explanation for something that I knew, which is that all through the 1930s, there are no Nazis in Hollywood movies. This is the only copy of The Mad Dog of Europe, which was written by Herman Mankiewicz and Lynn Root. And this was in 1933, and this is the first movie that would have shown Hitler's persecution of the Jews. That was cancelled. And I thought, well, maybe the reason the Hollywood studios are not attacking the Nazis in the 1930s is because they're doing business with real Nazis. So I started to look, and I just went everywhere. So for example, I went to the Bundesarchiv in Berlin, and I looked through Hitler's personal files. And as I was going through Hitler's files, I found a letter from 20th Century Fox to Hitler's office saying, will the Führer give his opinion of the value of American movies in Germany? And the letter was signed Heil Hitler. 20th Century Fox is writing Heil Hitler in a letter to Hitler. It is surprising that Hollywood was making so many concessions to the Germans in this period, because Germany wasn't even one of the major export markets in this period. The reason why the studios didn't just leave Germany was because they'd been in Germany for decades. They'd spent a long time establishing their business in Germany, and if Hitler started a war and started conquering other territories, then he would control not just Germany, but many other nations as well, and that is actually what happened. And then they would lose those nations too. And then here we have a few of Hitler's opinions of movies. So Hitler watched movies every night, and there has been a lot of speculation about what movies Hitler liked. People gave me all sorts of false information when I started the project. They said that Hitler's favorite movie was Gone with the Wind. I found no evidence that that was the case. What I did find at the Bundesarchiv in Berlin was a list of Hitler's daily agendas, that at the end of every day, around 8 or 9 p.m, Hitler watched a movie, or 2 movies. And after watching the movie, he would say what he thought of the movie, and his adjutant would note down what he thought of the movie. This is a movie titled Stärker als die Liebe, gut, good. This movie was abgebrochen, which means switched off. This is a movie very good, good. Bad film, very bad, bad. What I found was that he liked Greta Garbo. In fact, she was his favorite actress, and sometimes he would burst into tears at certain points in the movies when he saw sacrifices she made in order, to give up her love interest. This really affected Hitler. He loved every Laurel and Hardy movie he saw, every single one, and every time, this is good, exclamation mark, or very funny because it contains a lot of very nice ideas and clever jokes. This one is extraordinarily bad. Not particularly good. Annie Ondra is capable of much more difficult roles. And then there were movies that he disliked. For example, he disliked Tarzan. These are censorship reports, which is 20th Century Fox, Paramount, and movies that were banned and reasons for the rejection. In this case, non-Aryan director or actor. The heads of the Hollywood studios were, for the most part, Eastern European immigrant Jews, and they were doing business with a regime that was explicitly anti-Semitic. And it's not true true to say that they didn't know what was going on. They absolutely knew what was going on in Germany. This is MGM's films that were banned, list of 6 or 7 then, on account of actual names of actors: Joan Crawford and Fran Chatone, Melvin Douglas, Joan Crawford. These are people who were blacklisted by the Nazis. And the way I respond to this, or understand this, in going through all of the materials, is that it's absolutely unacceptable to talk about the Jews who control Hollywood, or to talk about a single Jewish voice that is in favor of doing business with Hitler. That's not what's going on in Hollywood in the 1930s. And there are screenwriters who are screaming out at the executives and saying, how can you do this? We need to attack the Nazis in our films. It's a very complicated story, and I bring out the voices of screenwriters like Herman Mankiewicz and Ben Hecht, and put them against decisions that people like Louis B. Mayer or Carl Laemmle or Harry Cohn are making. So it's a complicated story.